The DCU has been a bit of a mixed bag recently, to the point of restructuring. So when it comes to lanterns, should we be nervous? Welcome back, everyone. Today we're here to talk about lanterns. I had the blessed benefit of being in Hall H while the Lanterns panel was happening at San Diego Comic-Con a few weeks ago, and I wanted to discuss with you and share some of my thoughts based on that panel and answer the question, should we be concerned? But before we get into this, I need you to answer a question for me, and that is, if you could have a show with HBO for any DC character, who would you want to see get that show? Who would you be making a show for? Let me know down in the comments below. Now, before we get into the Lanterns panel, I think it is important for us to touch on some recent developments. Supergirl finished its theatrical run recently, and the box office is not looking very good. It is believed that Supergirl has lost Warner Brothers 200 million, maybe more. So that's not great, and as a result of that, unfortunately, the Booster Gold show has been canceled, which I'm actually really upset about because I was really excited to see Kamal Nanjiani as Booster. I felt like that was such a fun cast, but we must endure because there have been a lot of good things we've seen out of the DCU since it's begun, such as Superman and Peacemaker, the show. I'm a big Peacemaker fan, love that show. We also got Creature Commandos, and of course, Penguin, which I had really low expectations for, to be honest, going in, and yet it blew my mind. That show is not just one of the best, like, superhero related things I've seen, it is one of the best HBO TV series I've seen. And there's a lot of good HBO shows out there. And of course, Penguin, I suppose, is under the Matt Reeves umbrella, so it is kind of an Elseworlds project. It's outside of the main continuity. However, it still happened around the time of the DCU, so I think it's important for us to consider it, and it's really important for us to consider it when we're talking about Lanterns, because both of these shows are HBO productions. So what does that mean going into Lanterns, and how am I feeling about it? Well, before I saw the panel at Hall H, I did watch the trailers. I have a reaction channel, Amanda McKnight Official, where I post my reactions to trailers and such. And over there, I did my reaction for it, and I actually liked the trailer. I thought it looked interesting. I think that sort of buddy cop dynamic that we have going on is cool. But there were a lot of people that were critical of these trailers. In fact, I saw many people calling them out for not being green enough, because after all, it is Green Lantern, so where's the green at? Personally, I loved Penguin so much, I thought I will wait and see how this plays out because it seems good. Sure, it's not super green, but let's wait and see what they do. And let me tell you, as someone that has been to Hall H and who has seen what they have prepared for us, it gets greener. What I really want to say is wait till you see the rings. Wait till you see how they use this power set. It's gonna blow your mind, is what I want to say. However, they also took the feedback directly that people had about Hal's suit and boosted the greens for it. Now, they explained the reason why they wanted to have Hal's suit be less green is because the whole idea of what's going on with Hal Jordan at this point in his story is that he's been Green Lantern for some time. He has been here in this sector, on this beat, working it for years. And so he is a little bit more worn down. We're seeing him at a place where he's dealt with a lot of adversity in his role as a hero. He still has come out on top, obviously, but what kind of toll has that taken on Hal? I think that's something we're going to be exploring a lot in the show. And so the suit being less green, being more worn, was meant to reflect kind of that state of mind that Hal is in at this point. And I think Hal is going to be very interesting in the show, played by Kyle Chandler, who was on the panel, who talked a lot about how he saw Hal and his approach to the character. And I think some people are going to maybe a little concerned for some of the stuff because this is Hal not at the beginning of his story. This is Hal after he's been here for a while. So it is an older Hal. But they are showing a lot of the things that I love, that I feel speak to who Hal is as a character. He's impulsive, he is determined, he is stubborn, and he does have an ego. In fact, some would even say he's a bit of an ass. But at the same time, that is all a part of who the character is for me. You know, they're showing both the good sides of the character, what makes him a hero, and they're showing some of these sides that are the flaws that these characters have. And that is something that I love. And that's not just for Hal, that's also for John too. But I think the approach to Hal here is really interesting, you know? This idea of Hal not necessarily being the most book smart, but I think he has a lot of street smarts, and what he's really good at doing is, I mean, Hal is the guy that when the house is on fire, he's not going to wait. He's not going to sit outside and formulate a plan. He is going to run in and he's going to find a way to make it work to save the day. That's who Hal is. And that's why he's such a great Green Lantern, because that willpower is so strong with him. He just is committed to getting the job done no matter what it costs, and he doesn't really accept or see failure coming at him. He's always thinking of, I'm gonna get it done. I don't know how, but it's gonna happen. And honestly, in this Hall H panel, they showed so many clips. Oh my goodness, the number of things we could talk about here. The theories that I have as a result of this. I mean, I have a lot of theories about where we could be going based on what we've seen. And something that I loved about the trailers and that I loved about the clips is that a lot of what I'm seeing reminds me of a lot of the stuff from the comics, both in the main continuity, some of the stuff that we've seen, but also it reminds me a little bit of Absolute Green Lantern, which if you haven't read Absolute Green Lantern yet, when you finish this video, that is your homework. You need to go. You need to read Absolute Green Lantern right now. It is so good. And Hal is not the only Green Lantern that we have in this show, of course. We also have John Stewart. And I think John Stewart fans are going to be eating good with this show. Aaron Pierre did not disappoint on this panel. His love for the character of John Stewart just gave me so much faith in him playing the character. I'm so excited to see what he does. And we do get to see a lot of clips where we see Hal and John playing off of each other. And something that I love is that we're playing with this dynamic of just how different these two characters are. They are so different in terms of their approach to what it means to be a hero and how they deal with a situation, with a problem. And they really captured the spirit of what makes John tick. I mean, John is a soldier, but he's also an architect. So the way that he creates constructs is very different to Hal Jordan's approach. It's very different to how he also is going to approach a situation where now, you know, we have a villain or we have a problem we have to handle. And I think they did a great job of showcasing just the range of who John is. And Aaron talked about that a lot on the panel as well, about how much he loved the character because he has so much complexity. And I agree. That's why John Stewart is one of my favorite Green Lanterns, because I think there's so much more to him than meets the eye. And he really is probably one of the most complex characters that we have in the Green Lantern mythos, in my opinion. And I think when you see how they approach John's constructs, but also constructs in general, there is a lot to be excited about here. The writing is clearly great from what I've seen, because who else did we have on this panel? None other than Tom King, who is also working on Lanterns and who I had the fortune of meeting at San Diego Comic-Con this year. I got a Wonder Woman issue signed. I don't have it with me at this moment, but it was such a lovely chat talking with Tom King after the panel, and I was telling him how much I loved so many of the things that he's written that I've read, including I did a Batman Catwoman book club over on my Patreon recently, so we were talking about that. We were talking about Wonder Woman. We were talking about, obviously, Lanterns being at the panel and what I saw. We were also talking about Vision. I love his Vision run. I know that's Marvel, but man, if you haven't read Tom King's Vision, do yourself a favor. Go read it. It's really, really good. So Tom King was on the panel as well. And when he was on the panel, he was so cute. He was just so in awe, I think, of being in Hall H and being on the main stage with everyone. And he dropped so many F-bombs. Oh my goodness. Every other word that came out of his mouth. You were definitely not supposed to do that in Hall H, but he could not be tamed. He was just stunned to be there on the main stage with everybody. And I'm very excited that he's involved in the show, because really we do need comic writers to come in here. They're the ones that really know and love and understand this mythos. And so it's important, I think, to have them involved in the creative process. And that gives me confidence in the show as well. Not only is this a team that's listening to fans, not only is this a team that's really invested in understanding the characters and representing them and honoring the legacy of Green Lantern, but they also clearly value the comics, because they're making sure that they're having that input coming in as well from comic creators. And that's not all of the Green Lanterns we're getting, by the way. Yes, we're getting Hal, and yes, we're getting John. But of course, what would a Lanterns with an S show be without maybe one of the best Green Lanterns of all time? Guy Gardner. And in classic Guy Gardner fashion, who joined this panel by crashing it? None other than Nathan Fillion, who was hilarious on the panel, was not invited, but showed up anyways in the most Guy Gardner of fashions. And that is something that I enjoyed, and that obviously I know it's a bit. I know Nathan Fillion was meant to be there, and he was a surprise guest for us all. But it was just really funny the way they played all of that. It felt so Guy. And I feel like I have so much confidence after watching all of these clips. There are a lot of mysteries as well. There's a lot of characters that I'm not quite sure who this character is. I know there's someone. And when it comes to the threat here, I have theories. If you want a theories video based on the clips I saw, let me know. But I don't want to spoil anything for anyone here. But what I will say is, these might not be the only Lanterns that we'll be seeing. Maybe the name Lanterns instead of Green Lanterns is going to be fitting for this show, because we might be expanding beyond. I'm not sure, but I have theories. If you want to hear more about that, let me know in the comments. But what I'll say is, I have also heard from friends who are content creators who have seen more of this show than I have, that it is amazing, and that they cannot wait for me to see it as a comic nerd. And I can't wait to see it either after this panel. So should you be concerned? No, I think you should be excited. I think that we should all be really counting down the days for this show to come out. I am counting down the days after the panel. It blew my mind. And I am so glad to hear that it's a weekly release. It's not going to be all dropped at once. That was reported after the Hall H panel, but it was a mistake. It was a misspeak, a misreport. I am so excited that it's going to be a weekly release, because that means we get to come here each week and we get to discuss episode by episode as some of these mysteries are going to be unraveled, I'm sure. And that is one of my favorite things to do, is come here with you guys and make videos and just like nerd out and discuss and read all the comments. You leave such lovely comments. So hopefully, if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing so you can come geek out with me every single week here. And even better, there's also going to be a podcast that will be coming with Lanterns that we can all check out after the show and hear more on the behind the scenes, which I cannot wait to watch either. I loved the podcast for Peacemaker, so I can't wait to see what we get with this podcast. I've heard very good things. That's all I really have to say about this. I just wanted to share some of my thoughts on it. Let me know where you're at based on what you've seen. Are you feeling good? Are you confident? Are you nervous? Did this make you more excited? Let me know down in the comments below. Let's talk Lanterns. I'll see you in the next one. And until next time, friends, stay nerdy. Bye. And if you love hearing me yap about superhero things, well, we do that a lot here. And you can check out more of that content by clicking right over here.